Brian McFadden, CBS Sports, came out with a mock draft this morning. Young, number 1. Will Levis, number 2. Tyree Wilson, 3 to Arizona. C.J. Stroud, 4 to Indianapolis. Jalen Carter, 5 to Seattle. Will Anderson on the board. Gator, can we get you to believe? Can we get you to believe this can happen?
Nope. I'll believe when I see it, and when I see it, I will be ecstatic. But I'm not gonna fall for it at this point.
Is it because you don't want to get your hopes up? Is that what's really behind this?
That might be part of it.
Okay.
But I find it hard to believe that the number 1 player evaluated last year in college football was Will Anderson, and now another year of college football.
Yeah,
he was great, and yet now people are like, well, what about this guy because he's got a high upside? You know, Tyree Wilson's I think he could be a really good player.
Upside drove Trayvon Walker to the top of the draft last year.
It's true.
So, I mean, Tyree Wilson, I think people see Bosa-like workout numbers. And everybody wants a Bosa. That's football in 2023. Where's my Bosa? And they see it more in Tyree Wilson than they see it in Will Anderson. And so, look, I'm intrigued by this because you know what it's making me excited for? With the 6th pick, the Detroit Lions select Tyree Wilson.
I agree with that. That's the byproduct. Like if this is all just smoke.
Yeah, but
Tyree Wilson, if he falls to the Lions at 6, because
I don't think it was a pick that inspired much praise in Detroit. But if you listen to what everybody's saying about Tyree Wilson now, because like we'll have our mock draft on Thursday, and the first 3 mock drafts, you couldn't take Will Anderson. We veto and we've taken these guys off the board. We take guys that we don't think realistically will be there. We are trending towards Tyree Wilson being vetoed and Will Anderson being available. Think about that for a second. Because we're getting to a point where everybody's got Tyree Wilson off the draft board before the Lions pick at 6.
We're not going to veto Tyree Wilson.
I'm just saying.
You know, the interesting thing to me is that it comes down to at 6, who will be available for the Lions at 6? Because if Jalen Carter is available to the Lions at 6, which I don't think, I think Seattle likes that fit. But if he is, he's the better fit for the Lions just from a player standpoint of what you see on the field. Jalen Carter is exactly what the Lions need. But are there too many concerns off the field with work habits? Are there too many concerns off the field that will be linked because of Jamison Williams? I mean, I think that's a little unfair. You got to evaluate each player on their own. But my concern with the draft on Thursday night is that they may end up having an opportunity to draft the perfect player for this organization, and they could pass on him because of concerns, which, by the way, I think are legitimate. I wouldn't pass on it. I'd say go ahead. I can trust this coaching staff and this team and this locker room to be able to handle that. And maybe he's not an issue at all, but that remains to be seen. That's my concern, is they could be passing on a generational talent.
They have to get this one. This. I'm sorry. They don't have to. The best news for the Lions on draft night is if Jalen Carter's gotten a bad rap. Now, if he's gotten a bad rap, maybe he's not there. But out of all the scenarios that play itself out, like the 2 things that I keep thinking are in the Lions' best interest is, 1, Jalen Carter's got a bad rap and the Lions got to the bottom of it. And the Lions feel comfortable with selecting him. And Jalen Carter came to Detroit and convinced Detroit that this is the spot. And given where his visits were, wasn't this his highest visit? You don't have to be drafted by a team you did a pre-draft visit to. But if you got invited to teams that were picking 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, although one of those teams didn't look at him, maybe Atlanta, but whoever it was, if that was the highest visit you did, that's where you want to go. That's where you make the most money. Now, not if money's driving you, but I mean, that's where the biggest contract awaits. So Now, does that mean Jalen Carter tried to pull the wool over the Lions' eyes, or does that mean that Jalen Carter really is motivated to come here? I think that's like the best case scenario, because you're talking about a game-wrecking defensive tackle